Welcome everyone to the Spiritual Urban Warrior podcast. Hopefully, everyone's having a good day. I'm here today with a man, Salman Sheikh, and we're going to be talking about. Well, we're going to talk. We got a lot to talk about actually. So, I guess we'll just start with. Let's give at least my viewers, my fans, a little bit about yourself before we start digging into the heavier stuff, okay? So let them know, Sal, just exactly who you are.
Oh, thank you, Brother Dom, for having me on the Spiritual Urban Warrior podcast. It's an honor to be here with you and to be here with your audience and to basically encounter you on this path of life in the manner that we have. So it's all a divine synchronicity, and for that I'm grateful. So
Amen.
myself, I'm Salman Sheikh. I'm a Sufi Muslim. I'm a Freemason. I come from a path which always teaches you to be a free thinker and think outside of the box. Be on the path of self-improvement, self-mastery. Connect to the higher powers, Almighty God, in whichever way you perceive that divinity. I came to this country from a Pakistani background when I was 5 years old. My father brought me here to the States for a better life. Growing up here, I always was spending time in the libraries, reading and studying. I always knew that what the teachers were telling me or what the establishment at that time was telling me, there was more to this world than what was being shown to me. And the world works in many different ways that we cannot even comprehend. It doesn't work the way that we think that it does. So
You're
growing
right.
up, just like how Brother Dom agrees, we come across these different paths that just take us from here and there. So going through the school system, getting through high school, then eventually I went to college. I ran my own small business in the Philadelphia area in the King Sessing section. Now it's different now, but I was able to gain many friendships and experiences out of that endeavor. And through that time, as I went from one job to another, one business endeavor to another, finishing college, all that, eventually, when I was 23, I'm 30 now, I joined the Masonic Brotherhood, and I was the first in my family to do so. And that just kind of took me on a path that I realized that I had a greater calling. I had to do something for myself and my family in the world. So that's basically my life and my path, seeing world from a different perspective, trying to help others, trying to learn from others. I don't claim to have all the answers, so I learn from others as well and teach them in return. And
Now
that's
you
basically the beauty, because we're all walking each other home, and that's me in a nutshell.
absolutely, and you know, so you done said a whole mouthful, like a lot. Now, most people, as far as Mason, being a Freemason and whatnot, it's not a very, very, like I guess mainstream or publicated thing. Like Freemasons are almost to be considered a secret society. So, I guess as you were building yourself, um, like, I'm not going to say who brought you into it, but I am going to say what triggered them and what triggered you to kind of, connect there. Excuse me one second.
That's a great question, Brother Dom. And, to answer that, I started first researching Freemasonry when I was in the ninth grade. That was like around 2006, 2007, when YouTube at that time was fairly new and all this stuff was coming out with the transition from MySpace to Facebook and YouTube popping out all of a sudden, and all these videos were being uploaded. So I started doing my research, and I was always curious about the world because of my nature. But as time went on, as I handled business and college and family responsibilities, I kind of like forgot about it. But then
Okay.
there came a right time and right place, because in your life, the events that are orchestrated, it's all a divine plan that has a right time, right place, right situation. And it just came to me. And I realized it's not you that's choosing the path, it's the path that has chosen you. Now, will you answer the call? And that's what happened to me. Even though I had moved on with life, with other endeavors and other things, It was that path that was always pulling me towards it. That no, you don't belong there. You belong here, and
Mm,
that's what happened, and it just fell in place naturally.
okay. That's yeah, like the higher power stepping in there and really really pulling you into a new, well, maybe not so much a new direction, but the direction and path that I guess you're supposed to travel on this. So you've been studying this for quite a while. How old are you, my friend?
I
If you,
recently turned 30. I
I mean,
joined
like,
the
I was
Masonic
just about to
Brotherhood
say,
at
you
23.
look like you're like 25 to 35. Like you have a good mix. You know what I mean? Like it's funny because I was thinking the other day. It's like, man, I've known this guy for about maybe about 6-7 years. It's been a long time since we first met.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was like, and I still have no idea how old you are. So you're 30. Okay. Um. So now you've been pretty much a Muslim since you were a child. I
Yes.
know. Okay. And now, certain, I guess, Islamic orders, they aren't as free in their thinking as others can be.
Mm.
Um, what helped you to develop your mind to being open to learning other religious studies, spiritual studies, and philosophies
Mm.
outside of your, regular thinking or regular practice?
Sure, Brother Dom, and that's a great question. And see, with Islam and the Holy Quran, it tells you to be a seeker of knowledge, to be a seeker of the arts and sciences. And it tells you in Surah 2, verse 62, chapter 2, verse 62, that no matter what path you follow, as long, even if you're a Jew, Christian, or Muslim, as long as you believe in God and the last day and you do righteousness, then on the day of judgment you shall have no grief or punishment. So it's not about your God or my God. If you don't believe what I believe, you're going to hell. It's because everything, every path is teaching you a code of conduct, a code of life to live a good and respectable life. Love thy neighbor, love and treat each other how you want to be treated, that kind of thing. So no matter what path you take, if I'm in Philadelphia and I want to go to New York, I could take 6 different methods. I could catch the bus, I could drive a car, I could catch the train, I could catch a plane. It's
Y'all
all
get there the same
it's all
way.
getting me to the same place. So that's what interested me, because it tells you in the Quran that no matter what path you follow, as long as you're a righteous person, you will be fine. So that's what raised my curiosity. That okay, what is this faith teaching? What is this faith teaching? What are these faiths teaching? It's all part of one collective, but it's branched off. It's like one tree, but with different branches, all teaching you the same truth,
you know
and that's it.
I'll say from my own, lessons learned in philosophy. When I first started in understanding Chinese kung fu,
Mm.
I think a lot of us were fans of Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee was one of the first to be like, you need to learn um, the basics of what works for you. But when you realize that certain things do not work for you, you need to learn how to discard them and let
Yeah.
them go in order for, your own understanding to flourish. And yeah, that sounds like, that is your main way of thinking in your endeavorments of philosophy and understanding. That's good. That is really good. Um, so okay, so let me just hear from your perspective. What is the true essence of Freemasonry?
True essence of Freemasonry, Brother Dom, is when you know thyself, you know thy Lord. When you know thy Lord, you know thyself. It's like with the example of Neo from the Matrix movies. Every time he went to go visit the Oracle to get the answers, she would always point to the sign above at the door in Latin, which would tell you, know thyself. If you go to the Scottish Rite House of the Temple in Washington, D.C., and you will see the same thing, know thyself. When you know who you are, that's the best thing that you can do in your life. And that's what Freemasonry is. You're a builder. You're a
Right.
builder of thy temple. You are the temple. The world is your temple. Build it, and you've been given the tools, you've been given the knowledge. Build yourself so you can connect to your fellow man. Leave this world in a better condition than what it was given to you for future generations. And
Mm.
also connect with God, because right now we're living in a society of individualism, materialism. It's all about
Right.
me, me, and me. And that's why our world is in chaos, it's suffering. And Freemasonry tells you that everyone is your brother, where you can sit together on the table of brotherhood, whether it's a Jewish, Christian, white, black, Hindu, and you can sit down and break bread together. That's what it means for the human collective to come together. Freemasonry is promoting human unity,
Mm.
unity consciousness, being a builder of thyself, being a free thinker, contributing to the world, helping each other without asking anything in return. So the basically the prime example of what each religion is teaching you to be that perfect man is what Freemasonry is telling you, that you have to strive towards that every day in your life. Eliminate an imperfection. You can think
Right.
better, know better, do better. Is there something that I could have done better today? Is there something that I could have said better today? Do I need to sleep early, wake up early? What do I need to do in my life to make my life better? And once you make yourself better, when good men become better, the world becomes better that way. That's
Mm.
what Freemasonry is.
Okay, so you know what? Can you give us some of your rituals or disciplines that you do on a consistent basis that help to give you that, I guess, mental aspect that you're always challenging yourself to build more and to be stronger and
Mm.
to such and such. So, yeah, you know,
Well, to answer that, Brother Dom, it's very important because you are what you do, what you eat, who you're with. All of that encompasses your existence and being. So, the best way to accomplish a good, clean, and healthy life is you sleep early, wake up early, have a concept of meditation, prayer, exercise, eating healthy, avoiding things like drugs or alcohol, which impair your judgment, and invite other entities to take over your vessel. So
right.
keep your vessel clean, live a good, healthy, clean life, associate with good people, earn an honest living, and try to live your life with much honor and discipline as possible. And when you do that, when you're waking up early, sleeping early, you have a good life, good habits, good associations, good affiliations, then all your life you're going to have nothing but blessings and happiness. And that's exactly what it is. You have to be able to, if your life's not in order, just look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I admit there's a problem. Let me write stuff down. Let me think about it. What do I need to do to get myself better? Start with day one, start with day two. A week goes by, a month goes by, you start feeling better, stronger, then work your way up from there. And be fair to yourself. You
Mm.
have Olympic athletes that they run 10 miles without getting tired, but they couldn't do that right away. That's something you got to build yourself up to. So be fair to yourself and know that, okay, this week I can run 1 mile. Next week I'll be able to run an extra mile. The following week, so on and so forth, until I get better, and I get better. So do that with your habits, your lifestyle, and all of these disciplinary paths, whether it's Kung Fu, Masonic teaching, Sufism, it's all teaching you the same exact thing: a good conduct, a good life. And when you do that, you'll have that natural magnetism and attraction with your fellow man and with the higher divine powers.
Well said. Well said. Um, Two things. Do you have any children? And um, well, let's start with that one. Do you have any children?
No, I'm
No.
single and I'm not married. I haven't found the right one yet.
Okay. Well, it seems like you're still in like an early, like almost like an early flourishing stage where like your energy is like getting ready to ascend, at least from my own perspective. So I see that. Do you watch television or yeah, I guess do you watch any type of television or the news or anything like that?
No, I do not watch the news in any way, shape, or form, because a lot of it's there to I mean, look at the word television. Tell lies to your vision. And this is the same television in America that has promoted hatred, white against black, black against white. They promoted hatred against Muslims out in the post 9/11 world who had nothing to do with the attacks on
Right.
the Twin Towers. So they
Right.
promoted hatred. And what happened at the end, Brother Dom? Even the whole anthrax lie, all they pushed in 2002 every day was about the anthrax, and that turned out to be a lie. The WMDs turned out to be a lie. And what happened? You had millions of Iraqis that perished over a lie. You had thousands of U.S. troops, their lives destroyed, killed, injured, their families destroyed. People on both sides suffered. Why? Because of these people who had an agenda and they
Yeah.
wanted to promote hatred and division. With that kind of reach, why aren't they promoting love, unity, happiness? They don't want that. So that's
Yeah.
why I tell people, don't feed them your energy. It's like in the movie They Live with Roddy Piper, when he puts the glasses on and he realizes that the enemy was not in the desert 5,000 miles away. The enemy was right here, that was in your own home, that was telling you who to hate, who to love, who to respect. And that's dangerous when somebody can shape perceptions like that, where one day we're talking about this virus or this happening, and then the next day they just completely switched your mind because one celebrity slapped another celebrity on stage, right? Because he was talking about his wife, and
Yeah.
boom, they got you like that. And it's in a
Yep.
flash of a second, they changed what you're talking about. So those people, they have an agenda, and it's better to be mindful of that. Anyone that's promoting hatred or division of any kind, be mindful of them.
You know, that was like the whole thing with George Floyd. You know, as the start of, I guess, COVID was going on and such, and like, you know, the millions of numbers were going up and blah 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 blah. Then you know, George Floyd gets murdered, whatever, and it's, you know, it's publicated. Like, you know, if you were looking through the news, even if you weren't looking through the news, if you were just aware at the time, you got a full blast of how this guy was murdered right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And the thing was that from where COVID was supposed to, you know, I mean, keep us, you know, back, they were like, all right, well, let's burn the cities down. And let's do it together. And now it's like we got the people running out, and you know, like I went out myself during that time of the riots, and I looked around and I watched how the people were acting, and it was just very very strange. Like, especially the police officers. I was in Philadelphia at the time, and to even look at them, you knew they were told to stand down against anything. So it was like, all right. Of course, not for the smaller communities, not for the smaller mom and pop businesses, but for the big buildings.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
So,
they're all insured. It's all there. It's all there to create a scene. It's all there to create chaos. It's all there to create hatred. And you know, honestly, even that when the whole George Floyd thing was going on, it was people of all backgrounds that were participating in the rampage and the riots, some
yeah,
more than others. But the main motive was to make the African American community look bad.
yeah,
That was the thing.
absolutely.
And they were not even the majority of the participants. It was the other people. But see, that's the mindset that they were shaping for the public views. Okay, you
Yeah,
know, this is who these people are. Now we're going to bring the National Guard out, just propagating the racism and the hatred. Even when
yeah,
some people go into certain neighborhoods, they'll lock the doors. Why?
yep,
Why are you acting like that? So that's the problem, that America has an internal cancer and tumor that it needs to root out for its own survival, even in the post 2020 world.
yeah.
And I believe the next generation that is coming in now in the fray, like Generation Z and afterwards,
Mm,
they have a more open-minded. They're connected to the online. They're not believing the lies of the school system anymore. They're questioning things. So I believe, Brother Dom, within our lifetime, we will see that within a generation or so, that everything, and you see it right now, everything is crumbling. The workforce, the education system, everything
yeah,
is
it's
changing
changing.
before we know it. Everything is changing.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeing how, um, potentially and there's a like a lot going on. Like what? Okay, so what are your thoughts on transhumanism? Because I mean, even as and like I'll say this briefly, even as we speak, we've noticed that stem cells and cloning, because I'm not sure if you were if you were conscious of it, several years ago, like probably maybe like the early 2012s, 2013s, they were literally showing off that they were cloning sheep, they were cloning chickens, and that I mean, like they were using these to feed America pretty much. And then it pretty much quietly went away, or at least no people stopped talking about it, but it's still being happening.
Mm.
And um it seems like for those that I guess can afford it, um the ability to have your maybe essence transferred to another body and into something that could live eternally in this physical realm is potentially possible. What are your feelings and thoughts on that?
I think that's going down a dangerous territory, because us as the souls that we are right now, I exist in this physical avatar, you exist in yours, and that's the concept of the immortality of the soul that even Freemasonry teaches you, that you will always exist in some way, shape, or form. There is no
Right.
such thing as a death that can take your
Right.
essence away. You will always be around in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a higher existence or lower, depending on the actions of your current life right now, that will determine the outcome. But ultimately, that's what it is. Now we're living in a society where I can't prove this, but I could be thinking about something. I never mentioned it out loud, never spoke to anybody. But when I'm scrolling through social media or these other platforms, YouTube, the ads are right there of what I was thinking about. So
Oh yeah.
it's
Mhm.
we're going to a dangerous territory where everything is being autonomous. The human free will is going away, and we're being in a society where they're really trying to say, do we really need people anymore? So that human interaction is being eliminated, where people are just scared to interact with each other, have relations with each other, have get married or have kids. I mean,
Yeah.
right now the world in its current condition, the inflation, the crisis is going on, that's exactly what it is. And the human interaction and connection is being destroyed. And I think technology is good. It serves its purpose, like what we're doing right now, educating and learning from each other and possibly others that will listen to this. So if you use it for good reasons, then it's there to good for good values to connect humanity. But if it's there, which is lessening your humanity and destroying that interaction, then it's dangerous, because everything has a balance and a boundary.
Yeah.
And once we start getting to that level where they're cloning animals or cloning people or making hybrids of man and animal, then we're going down a dangerous territory, which ultimately will hurt mankind if we don't regulate the people that are doing that kind of stuff.
I hear that. Um, you had mentioned the Matrix earlier, and a lot of people had blasted the second movie for the scene with the architect.
Mm.
And I feel as though you may have a better understanding, because I love that scene where he had to sit with the architect and see how you have to realize that yes, you do have choice, but inevitably you don't have choice, because like this energy wants to live. And if even if you just like just as much as you had said earlier, um even if you decide to choose the wrong path and you hinder yourself, you die, whatever, you are pulled back into whatever this is. What I mean? Just because we're asleep does not mean that the world around us is not there, that
Yeah.
life around us is not there. So um yeah, I feel as though and I guess around the beginning of 2020, it's another gentleman that I'm going to try and get you in touch with. His name is Johnny Sage, and he runs a podcast called the Dystopian Renaissance, and I think you'll find it very, very resonating. You know what I mean? But he had said to me, "This is the age of Aquarius," and with that, all things will be revealed. And
Sure.
I do see more things being revealed to us as a society. Uh, but I still, it's like that, whatever that is, that entity, that what I mean, that devil, whatever it may be, it's lurking there, and it's always really, really playing on the little things to keep us in chaos, to keep us against each other. And it's not only that it's within our own being that we have to battle that conflict, but there are people that publicize it and create it in order to make it even worse. I mean, like, one of the things that kind of blew my mind, I guess several years ago, is when they started the series Lucifer. And like, I get the whole understanding of, I guess, the fallen angel wanting to find his way back to God. Totally get that. But the way that sometimes these guys are shifting these ideas, I find it dangerous. I really do. Or maybe it is just all part of the way it's supposed to be. But it's tough out here for people.
Well, Brother Dom, that's a good point, because we're really in a spiritual school. This is, in reality, we think we're just here to pay taxes, pay bills, pay our rent, and die, and all that stuff. But you're actually here to learn something. This is a spiritual school. You're here to walk each other home, uplift each other, learn from each other, and that's the true purpose of why we're here. Now, the concept of Lucifer, even the many Sufis, you have this concept of what they refer to Lucifer as Iblis, and they would say that Iblis has been given dominion over this realm, the specific realm that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get close to God, because he was always classified as the most jealous lover of Allah, or God, he
Right.
bowed down to God before every corner of the universe. And when he was told to bow down before Adam, he said, he told God that the only thing I see is you and only you. How can you ask me to bow down to anything else besides you? So that is the whole challenge, that here, to get out of this realm, he's the one that's guarding the door. You got to go through him. And he's going to put you through so many tests and trials and tribulations, so he could sever your connection with God, so he can get you away from God. But if you stay steadfast and loyal, and you stay focused through the temptations, through the desires, through the lower nature, through your lower self, then you pass the test, and you'll be able to basically escape from this system that we're stuck in. And that's exactly what it is. You gotta, and look at it this way: even the religious communities,
Mm-hmm.
who are the majority of the people, the religious leaders and religious communities, not in America but all over the world. They're all devils and demons that are preying and exploiting their flock. They're fleecing their flock, and they're doing so many things which you really find out, oh, this is who this guy really was, under the
Right.
guise of being a godly man. So this realm, you got to go through the devils and demons and be able to identify who's who, what's what, the who, what, where, and why. Be like, okay, now I got it. I got to stay focused. I got to stay mindful. And if I survive their tricks and traps, then I'll be able to reestablish that connection with God and be in the graces of the Most High again, be able to escape from this this prison realm, because that's basically it. We're in a fallen state, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you have a man that's connected to God, Brother Dom,
Mm-hmm.
you will have the dark aspects that will be like, let's use his friends, let's use people from his past against him. Let's use a girl that he liked from his past against him. They'll try to find some kind of opening to try to sever your connection. So some friend can call you that you haven't heard from in years. Hey man, you remember we used to go look at those girls at the club? You remember we used to do this, we used to do that? Because he's trying, and you tell him, no, I don't want to deal with it. I'm with God now. He's like,
Right.
no man, come on, let's do it for old time's sake. And then you go get in the car with the devil, and he
Right.
severed your connection with God.
Right.
And he severed your connection with God. So you gotta be focused on this path. That's why this path is there, and even the devils and demons cannot do anything here in this realm without God's permission. So
Right.
this is Almighty God. He's letting good loose. He's letting evil loose, and it's your free will that will decide which path you're taking for yourself. But if you know what's right and what's wrong, and you stay focused, and you know the spiritual warfare that anything or anyone can be used against you, but with kindness, you know how to create those boundaries and how to handle everything carefully, then things fall in place naturally.
You know, that's a thing that Thich Nhat Hanh had spoken upon in his book of the Art of Compassion. Just being able to be more compassionate and caring for your brothers and your sisters when you walk and when you think. Like, it took me a long while, but I want to say in that gradual time period of growth, being able to just look at the little things of picking up trash off the ground, opening doors for people, like being chivalrous and you know still fighting like against the temptations, because it's like, there was a time period in my own life where I had the negative energy, and you probably heard some of the stories. I used to street fight, was in mixed martial arts fights, blah 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 blah, whatever. But um as time grew on and I really started seeing the genuine um message of learning martial arts and the genuine language of learning martial arts and learning discipline and spirituality, it really, really gave me a different outlook of how I should treat everything around me. And, getting the people from my past to relatively see that same type of understanding is tough and doesn't always work. So sometimes, I have to walk away from them, but at the same time, I also have to be a guiding light,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
So,
exactly what it is. And if you look at the picture and the painting of the Buddha, and if it's funny because the Buddha, if you read Albert Pike's book Morals and Dogma, in page 202, he refers to the Buddha as the first Masonic legislator of India. And what did he mean by the first Masonic legislator? Because he brought all the caste systems of India, who were always, they looked down upon each other, he brought them under one umbrella of unity. And even when you see that painting of the Buddha giving the flowers and the lotus to the demons, and that's exactly what it is. Everything, it has a purpose, brother Dom. If something or someone did not serve a purpose, the creator would not have created them. So Batman cannot exist without the Joker. The Joker cannot exist without him. Smith and Neo cannot exist without each other, because one would lose their purpose. So
right.
that element of light and darkness, you're going to find it everywhere, within yourself, within your own journey, within the elements around you. But you got to be able to know and be able to adapt with a clear mind. If you can think with a clear mind while everyone else is losing theirs, without acting on impulse or emotion, and looking at things from a logical perspective, from logic and the aspect of, okay, you place yourself in these various scenarios, and there's A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and you look at the long-term effects of everything, and that's when you make your decision. That's ultimately it. And you got to be vigilant, you got to be mindful, and also know the aspect of compassion, because we are losing compassion in this society, where you're just walking down the street and everyone's just mean mugging each other, and they're always expecting threats from each other. This is not who we're supposed to be as a human family. There's a certain paradigm which has caused us to be this way with one another, and that's exactly what it is.
The hardest thing is that because people have become so materialistic, that fear of loss, of financial loss, like one of the hardest things that, and it hit me very deeply in studying Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil was the most horrible, one of the most horrible fears in a man's life is that, he will be poor. And like poorness just really comes from a mindset. It
Yeah,
comes from, continuous accepting that this is the way things are and they will never change. And that is not how we were meant to live our lives.
yep.
As as children of the Creator, like we are here to create just as well. But some people don't see it.
That's right,
And
brother Dom. And that's the beauty. When you're even in Freemasonry, they tell you always, besides the aspect of know thyself, they always tell you, always trust God, do not fear anything. And just keep walking your path. Just know that all the things that you're meant to do, people that you're meant to see, places that you're meant to go, your life is being divinely orchestrated. We let so many fears just kind of put us down, but we don't realize that the creator who has created you, he's going to make sure that you have a meal to eat every day. Somehow, some way, even if you're homeless, you're going to get fed somehow. You're going to have a
absolutely,
place to sleep. You're going to have others that are watching you in some way, shape, or form. And that's exactly what it is. We think in our lives that we're alone when we're lifting heavy burdens, but you are never alone, Brother Dom. There's always beings seen and unseen that are always watching over you so you can accomplish life path that you were meant to accomplish and whatever you were sent here to do.
right.
And that's exactly what it is. Once you keep that faith and know that all my necessities, my purposes, whatever I'm meant to do, it's all going to work out some way, shape, or form. Then why worry? Just
Right.
keep. You just put one foot in front of the other and keep going.
Right. And I think that's like a lot when I teach my students, because they have the language of almost like flip-flopping, you
Yeah,
know, one moment that they're up, but the moment that like their dress is ruined or their shirt is all messed up, like it's like, why did this happen to me because of such and such? Well, why didn't you see the opportunity in it? Maybe if you had taken that shirt or that dress to the cleaner, you might have met someone that could have brought you onto something even better. But you don't see it that way because you're so worried about what what you feel as though is bad when
yeah,
it may not potentially or fully be bad. I mean, we all have bad days, but being able to change the language in our minds and being able to cultivate that. So, and it's just like Muhammad in Muslim in the Quran. I remember reading how when he came from the mountain, how his words were so just like almost angelic, that he was able to speak to the people and, like they embraced him because of how amazing it was. So,
that's right, brother Dom, and that's exactly what it is because your thoughts create your reality. Your the words that you exhibit, there are kind of spells in a way. So if you use them in a good manner, the aspect of communication and tapping that divinity within and expressing it to others, that's ultimately what we're here for. And it tells you, even in the Holy Bible, in the book of Luke, the kingdom of heaven is within. Look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it's telling you the same exact thing. You look at the Holy Quran, Surah 50, it tells you, Almighty God is closer to you than your jugular vein inside
right,
of you. So we're looking for God over here, over there, at the sky. But it's even what, like Rumi said in Sufism, that I tried to find Allah or God in the church, at the synagogue, at the mosque, but I never realized that he was within me the whole time. So
right,
what the Sufi teachings tell you, Brother Dom, is that the aspect of everything in this creation right now, me, you, the trees, the sun, the birds, the insects, all creation is a manifestation of that one true infinite reality, the Alpha and the Omega, that has no beginning and has no end. And it's experiencing itself simultaneously through infinite realities, possibilities, and avatars. So once you realize that, how can you have any hatred towards anybody else? And even in Hinduism, if you read the Gita, Krishna tells you the same thing. No matter what path you follow, it's all coming back to me.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
That's what it is. We gotta find that within ourselves. And even with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, with Christ, with Moses, with Solomon, with Buddha, peace be upon them all. They were all teachers and messengers of Almighty God. So if we listen to the message that they tell us, each one of them taught us love. Love thyself, know thyself, love your parents, respect your parents, love your neighbor, love each other. So those kind of things, when those questions come in existence, we have to be able to implement them, because there's also a learning phase in your life where you're learning certain knowledges, certain things. But then there's an application phase where, okay, now you learned X, Y, and Z, but now how are you going to apply that in your life? With your family, with yourself, on social media, at your workplace. So you got to also know the learning and application phase. So with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he spent his time so much in a cave in seclusion, meditating and praying, something which our society has forgotten. And he was able to tap in and make that connection with the divinity. So everyone has the potential to do that, but again, it comes down to the lifestyle you're living and what you're doing in your life that is establishing that connection with the divine. And are you passing the traps that are there to sever that connection of anything or anyone that can be used to put you back in a bad lifestyle or bad habits or bad thinking or mindset?
You said a mouthful, my friend. Yeah. I feel like if more people take just a couple minutes a day, to be grateful, and I mean, to allow themselves to look at all the things that they have, even if it isn't much, as long as you have clothes on your back, as long as you have a roof over your head, as long as you have you know some people around you that can be there when you need them. I think more people could open themselves to really, really understanding that this is a spiritual realm. It is a spiritual war that they have to fight for themselves, and they have to fight it with love.
Yes. That's it. Love is the only answer, brother Dom, and that's exactly what it is. And look at it this way: if people truly realized that it's only one true being that's in existence, it's like Mr. Rogers, right? And he's holding the puppets, and they're talking to each other. But in reality, it's connected to the same source, who's projecting itself through these different beings, who's trying to understand itself through itself. And that's the divine treasure of what Almighty God is, that one true being that has no beginning and has no end. And if people realize that, hey, if I hurt him or her, I'm actually hurting myself. If I
Mhm.
love this person or that person, I'm actually loving myself. So if people knew that, then that's exactly what it is. And it tells you in the Quran that if you save one person, it's like you have saved all of humanity. And if you have hurt one person, that means you have destroyed the entirety of humanity. So even the Quran in its esoteric teachings is telling you it's only one being that's in existence, that has
Mhm.
no birth, has no death, and all of us are a projection of that infinite reality.
All right, so now I gotta bring up, because you are one of the most peaceful men I know, and very righteous and whatnot. So I gotta ask you, Douglas Dwayne Dietrich,
Yeah.
what's going on there? Like what was it that? And I've heard some things, but I'm just gonna let you explain it, and I'm gonna give you a little feedback, or however we may do. I know you got a little beef with the guy, and it's like, wow, I couldn't see you having beef with anybody.
Well, see, brother Dom, the thing is that when I was on the path of encountering these different beings in the spiritual and conscious community, I came across Douglas in 2014, 2015, and he was talking about good things, righteous things. And I genuinely supported him. I said, you know what? This guy's talking about good things. He's trying to educate people. So then I started contributing to him. I started donating to him. And around 2017 was when I started contributing to him regularly up until this point on a monthly basis, probably like thousands of dollars at this point. Like if you add up all the monthly donations, I went on his podcast several times and taught that knowledge of self, of what I'm doing here to others. And basically, I taught, had him on my podcast as well, try to spread his message. And then eventually, something intuitively told me that something was not right with this guy. So I did my own private investigation, and that was the divine telling me to walk away from
Yeah.
something that was not good. I did my own private investigation, and I found out that this person was not who he was claiming to be. And I had to sever with him. And as soon as I did that, he starts going on this dangerous defamation campaign and making
Yeah.
dangerous accusation against myself. And I was just shocked. And I said, you know what? At this point, I have the right to defend myself and put my defense stuff out there and also follow up in other ways, which will protect me from individuals that seek to do harm. So you got to look at it this way, Brother Dom. Even on this path, in this, especially on the spiritual path, in the spiritual and conscious community, you got to be mindful because a lot of it's just like you have devils and demons in disguise messing with people in the religious communities. These
Yeah.
same people exist in this community as well, where
Yeah.
they'll be so captivating with their words and their silver tongue that they'll just pull you right in, and you got to be careful. And with this Douglas guy, you know, with everything that was said and done,
Mm.
I kind of exposed him on a big level, and he just doesn't have that power anymore like he used to. So everything has a divine plan for God to use me to go into his life, him to come into my life and do this like spiritual stuff that we were doing. And then eventually this happened, and then I exposed him to the world, and that's what it is. And now he's just acting desperate and making all sorts of accusations against myself that I'm a terrorist or I'm a pedophile and all of these different things. And I reported him to the authorities in his home state of California and in my local authorities because he was
Mm.
encouraging his listeners to dox me and make false reports against me. So I did that as a safety mechanism so the local authorities know what's going on and what's up. And on top
Okay.
of that, I put my own videos out there as a form of a testimony of the who, what, where, and why, because the majority of the people he did that to, they just quietly go away and they just ignore it. But there comes a moral duty for every man and woman, for anyone that stains your character with accusations and things which are not true, to try to character assassinate you, to try to destroy you, because the devils and demons know Dom is
Okay.
doing good work for humanity. I'm doing good work for humanity. We're spreading peace. We're spreading light. And they'll see you as a threat, and they'll try to find ways to discredit you, try to destroy you. So if you can adapt and overcome those situations, not just Douglas. Douglas is just one name in a long line of devils and demons that are
Let me
in
cut
this
you off right
community.
there real quick, because there's a question that's dying. What was it? What was it that triggered that almost like I need to be more aware of this guy? Because I know there's probably something that happened that, I mean, you were like, you know what? I think I need to put my money somewhere else, or I think I need to, I mean, what did he do as a person who is to be considered a good person, like I guess a guide in some sense, or
Mm.
we may see him. What was it that triggered you?
Well, one thing that stood out to me, Brother Dom, about him is that he would always go on these defamation campaigns of people who would no longer want anything to do with them, right? Or with him. And
Mhm.
something didn't seem right to me. I would think if somebody was truly a man of God, a man of knowledge, a man of peace,
Let
he
him
would
go
just
into.
wish them well and keep it moving. He wouldn't just make all of this stuff and accuse people of all these dangerous things that he's making up and just making things up. So something about him didn't seem right to me. And what another thing that didn't stood out to me was when he had people on his show, he would be nice to them, and as soon as the people logged off, well, with the other people that he would have on the round table, he would start talking shit about them. So, and something didn't seem right to me. I said, this guy is talking to people about other people, but those people don't realize when they get up, they will be the topic of conversation. So that's something about Douglas that didn't stand out to me. Also, a lot of his claims that he said, "Oh, I'm the son of Adolf Hitler, and I'm a vampire, and I drink blood," and then he goes off to this estate where he's drinking the blood of young boys. So all of that basically was a red flag to me, because he would say about his mother that she gave Hitler a blowjob at the age of 13. She took the sperm and then injected herself at a later date. So all of that stuff, it just started standing out to me. Is this guy an intelligence asset? Is he a disinformation agent? Is he an informant? Is he an intelligence informant? And then I find out majority of the people in this truth and conscious community come from that same caliber. And that's why you must be mindful
Yeah.
of who you're putting your faith in completely.
And it's like, you hear certain things that people say, and I know you must have been young when, I mean, like you first started hearing, his things, but it's like, yeah, dude, that's a red flag. First time you coming out, it's just like, it's like, oh, what? Like, stop, bro.
Exactly.
But
See, that's the thing, brother Dom. Even consulting with like many legal aspects, because I was really gonna go after the defamation stuff. So if you look at the legal stuff and with the authorities, basically I was just told, like, when you're walking in the downtown area of any major city and you see the crazy person that's shouting at everyone,
right.
they told me just give him that same regard. Just keep it moving, keep walking, and just don't feed that energy no more.
Yeah. Just keep it pushing.
That's it. That's it. But it's like you said, in this truth community, conscious community, religious community, you're gonna have those people that they talk a good game and they do all that stuff, but you gotta let your intuition guide you. I tell people this all the time. When people tell you who they are, you better believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it and listen to your intuition. Never let anybody manipulate you, exploit you, or misguide you in any way, because your heart, Rumi said that there's a voice that does not speak. Listen to it. And that's God guiding you internally that, hey, Dom, you need to do this, this, and this, or something that's going on won't seem right to you. Your conscience will interfere with your heart. So if we're trying to find answers, ultimately, just look within, meditate on a certain problem that you're dealing with, and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. And when you act upon that, you have peace mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So whatever we're seeking is not out here, it's inside of us.
Indeed. I noticed, we are people of patterns, and in our actions, because, we record things and then we create these type of certain patterns and whatnot. When you meet a person that, might be a little off, you'll notice the little pattern first before you'll have to say to yourself, okay, should I, however you want to interact with them, I mean, it's like when you see the crazy guy up the street, you notice that maybe he's leaning a certain way, making noises a certain way, but I mean, these patterns should warn you, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, listening to that intuition of, remembering, how you had to deal with that before should be your first line of self-defense.
That's absolutely right, brother. And that's exactly what it is. In any person, place, or thing, situation, circumstance, if you let that own inner light guide you, it's not about the popular consensus of what your politician, your bureaucrat, your guru, or anyone else that wants from you. What is thine own inner light telling you to do? That's what you got to follow. That's what being a true free man, a true Freemason, a free man of God, that's what it's about. You got to follow that path, because everyone has their own path. And one person's journey, path, circumstance, or situation might differ from yours. You might get to a certain spot where it might take the other person a year, 2 years, 5 years. But there will be times when then you will hit a pause. The person goes ahead, and then what happens is then there'll come a time where you go ahead of them. So it's all a big conglomerate, because if everyone in this world thought the same, looked the same, had the same journey, then the world would be a boring place. So
So
Almighty
true.
God is a beautiful painter, and he's an artist painting our lives and our journeys on the canvas like a beautiful tapestry of different colors and patterns that's supposed to be celebrated, not
Yeah.
condemned. So that's exactly on the path that we're on. And as long as we continue to listen to that inner voice, know thyself, know thy Lord, and know the who, what, where, and why, how to adapt to each situation without getting angry, without getting sad or emotional, and being able to adapt and overcome, that's when you have found that true equilibrium. And like what Masonry teaches you, just like any other faith or philosophy, trust the divine, don't fear anything. Whatever is meant for you shall be yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Like, yeah, I mean, this has been an amazing interview, and I thank you for, allowing me to talk with you and, giving me all your insights, all of your practices, and, you know, just being there as and I wanted to get to that one last thing. You told me before that you had a book getting ready to come out or something along those lines. So just real quick, shed a little light on that subject so that we can get the ball rolling on that.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Dom. And truly, it's been my honor and privilege to be able to share this path with you, as we have known each other for over 6 years. And I'm so happy that we were able to do something like this that can benefit many people who shall listen to this. So, the book that I released was The Spiritual Reflections of the Sufi Freemason, Volume 1, which is a collection of my experiences as a Sufi Muslim and as a Mason, of like different scenarios and circumstances that I came across. So it's basically a journal that
Right.
chronicles some major epiphanies that I had in my life. And that I released in 2020, and it's on Amazon in ebook and paperback format. And I'm happy with the positive feedback that it has received from many people with the ratings and those that reached out to me. So I'm glad that I was able to make a difference and put something out there in terms of not only the YouTube stuff, but having a book out there as well. Because I believe each one of us has at least one or two books within
Oh
us.
yeah.
We're all walking
Oh
stories, Brother Dom. If you just sit down with
yeah.
somebody and you tell them, hey, tell me about your life, tell me about your upbringings. One girl might tell you, I got traumatized as a child and I cannot have any healthy relations with anybody, right? You have those things. You might come across a man and, hey, what happened in your life? Oh, my father was not there, and I had to become a man for my mother, for my sisters. We were all by ourselves, and we had to adapt and overcome. This is what I did. This is how I did it. This is how who I am today. You got millions of walking books and stories out here. Humanity is just how blessed we are. We're able to interact with each other and learn from each other in these so many various stories and scenarios and infinite possibilities and realities that are taking place. So you tell the girl who got traumatized as a child, have faith. You will find somebody that will love you and not just see you as an object. Tell the man who didn't have his father and who he had to become a man and grow up early for his sisters and his mother, that one day you will be there for your kids and you won't make the mistake your father did. So we have the power to break cycles in our lives. If we choose to take responsibility and break the cycles, then things get better for those that will come after us.
That's great, man. So I'm looking forward to it. I have not had a chance to get the book yet, but I'm going to get the book. Um, do you have anything in the future works, and how can people get in touch with you right now? Well, I guess outside of, well, I guess you have your channel and all the other stuff. So
Yeah,
those
thank you,
are
Brother Dom. For to getting in touch with me is just my first and last name, Salman Sheikh 911 at gmail.com. You can email me anytime you wish. I'm on Facebook. You can send me on Messenger, on YouTube. So I'm on these different platforms where you can reach out to me at
Spiritual man
any
of the
time.
people.
Thank you, my brother. And anything in the future that I have, I'm just being divinely guided. I don't know what tomorrow will hold, but I do know I have today, and I have to make today, the day that I have been given, the best by loving myself, loving those that love me, trying to do the right thing, honoring my responsibilities, whatever that I have, and that's it. When tomorrow comes, I'll deal with it. But you just got to take it day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, until you get through this human journey and just do what you need to do. Just take it day by day. Just breathe, do your spiritual practices, and keep yourself light as a feather. Even if you go back to ancient Egypt and Ma'at, you have to keep yourself as light as a feather. That's what it is. You'll be able to ascend higher and higher and higher by being light. And that's it. That's it. Just take it day by day, and just think about where you're standing in life and what you need to do.
I think that's a great ending statement. And on that note, my friend, we are going to do this again.
Yeah, my
Really
brother,
soon.
anytime. And I look forward for your audience listening to this on your platform. And of course, this will go on YouTube as well. So if anybody that's interested in martial arts, I would like to put yourself out there too for martial arts in the Philadelphia area and mentoring and guiding. How can they get in touch with you if they're in the Philly area?
For right now, I'm not teaching my martial arts right now. Right now, my like I am doing like Muhammad. I'm in my cave and I'm cultivating my work. But
Understood.
I am teaching yoga online right now, so they can find me under Righteous Warrior Yoga on YouTube and Instagram. So and I'm sorry, Righteous Warrior Yoga and meditation also under, I think it's under Today's Yoga. So both of those platforms, people can get in contact with me. They're welcome to it. So YouTube or Instagram. I think I'm going to be creating something called a fan base page soon. But for now, those are the main ways. So yeah, I mean, until next time, let's definitely keep in touch. And
Indeed.
yeah.
Thank you, Brother Dom. It's been an honor and a privilege. And yeah, please send me your websites and I will put it in the links in the description below.
Fantastic. All right. I'll talk to you soon, Salman. Brother
Peace and
Sal,
blessings,
be well.
brother.